type in Maradona, hand of God. He cheated, he knew it. By the way, anyone who understood the reference? Maradona, hand of God? One person.
Yeah.
All right, that was for you. Questions? All right, let's make it more difficult. Before I said make it seem more difficult, but no, it's more difficult. I'm gonna leave that the same. Let's get rid of that stuff. This time, the ball's gonna be projected at an angle. And let's make this a 30-degree angle, 50 meters per second. And I wanna know how far from the bottom of the cliff will it land. So I know this is negative 50 meters. And this is negative 9.8 meters per second squared, because I'm still near the earth. 0 meters per second squared. All right. 50. Apparently I'm just number Tourette's. I'm going to change that to 30 meters per second. And change that to 37 degrees. I apologize for those doing it in ink. Apologize to people doing it. Gut feeling, is it going to go farther than it did before or not as far?
Farther.
Okay, let's find out.
What was the
Well,
angle again?
you have to calculate.
Pardon?
I don't know my answer yet.
You'll wait to see the answer before you come up with it.
Exactly.
We go through the same process, except the difference is the initial velocity, we have to break the initial velocity into its horizontal and vertical components. We need to figure out how much of it is vertical, how much of it is horizontal. And then we proceed down the same path as we did before. Yes. So I'm taking my vector here and I'm breaking up into components. My magnitude is 30. My angle here is 37 degrees. And so how much, what's my adjacent length? What's my opposite length? So this will be 30 times the cosine of 37 degrees. This will be 30 times the sine of 37 degrees. This is about 24. That's about 18.
What was the difference between this question and the previous one?
Previous question, it was the initial velocity was horizontal.
They mentioned that in the question?
Yeah, it was mentioned in the question itself.
Okay.
And because that was horizontal, breaking up the components was easy. It's all horizontal, 0 vertical. But now we need to separate it.
Okay, what does it say in the question?
A ball is projected is thrown from the top of a 50-meter tall cliff at an initial velocity of 30 meters per second at a 37-degree angle above the horizontal. How far from the bottom of the cliff does it land? So this is 18 meters per second. It is positive because it's being projected upwards. And this is 24 meters per second. And it's also positive because it's being shot to the right, and I said that was the positive direction. We were trying to find this. All right, just as before, we need to find time. We can do the two-step process where we find VF and then find T, or the one-step process using the quadratic formula. Does anyone have a preference?
Quadratic.
Quadratic, all right. So I'm plugging into the third equation. I know I'm not plugging into the last equation since there's no time there. The third equation is the one equation that has time, which is what we're trying to find, and does not have VF in it. The other two have VF, and we don't know what VF is. So plugging into delta S or X, whatever letter you happen to be using, is equal to VIT plus 1/2 AT squared. And so I'm using the vertical to establish the time. So this is -50 is equal to 18T minus 1/2, plus 1/2, -9.8 T squared. It is a quadratic equation. To use the quadratic formula, we need to stick it all on one side. Because for whatever psychological reason, I like the coefficient of the quadratic term to be positive, so I'm moving everything over to the left. So 4.9 T squared minus 18T minus 50 equals 0. I will get two answers, one of which is correct, the other one is not. But the question is, what is the meaning of the incorrect answer? It does have physical meaning. Ish. So, the discriminant will be positive, which is what I would expect. If you get a negative under the radical, you've made a mistake. Because if I throw a ball off the cliff, it will land at the bottom. Especially at that speed. And while people are calculating that, I'll just sort of wax eloquent on the fact that if I do throw it fast enough, if it's somehow projected fast enough, it'll go into orbit. So I guess it would not hit the ground. But 30 meters per second is not enough to get in orbit. So what are the two answers?
Negative.
Two answers would be 18 plus 36.111 over, I need to finish solving that, never mind.
Yes.
Okay.
I was hoping for that.
I had, for my two answers, negative 1.85 and 5.52.
All right. I will say that I expected one answer to be positive, one answer to be negative. And I expect that the absolute value of the positive one is bigger than the absolute value of the negative one. So that matches what my expectation was. Which is the correct answer? Well, actually, did anyone else get this?
Yes.
Got it. Yes, or question?
Oh, quick question. Why isn't 18 negative at the start of that?
It's negative b plus or minus, and
Oh, okay.
that negative sign right there.
How did you get negative 1.85?
Because that's the subtraction, because it's plus or minus. So it's 18
And
minus.
Abigail, you said you nodded?
I got the 5.52. I didn't get the negative 1.85, but I think I might have put it in wrong.
Did you get negative
I might have missed the
9?
parentheses.
Did you get negative 9.05?
So did you divide by the 9.8?
I got the same answer.
You got these two?
Okay, now I got it.
Okay. So we're at a groundswell of 3 people. 4, up to 4. Do I hear a fifth?
It's an option.
4.5, I think. You got the same thing?
I got a negative in the square root. So,
There's a minus sign right there,
yeah,
and a minus sign right there.
okay.
Those 2 minus signs would make a positive.
Well, I did 18 squared minus whatever, all 3 of those.
Minus 4 times 4.9 times negative 50.
Is the number negative 4? Or is it just 4?
It's 4, it's minus,
Right.
minus 4 times 4.9.
Minus. Okay.
I don't know how you got a negative under the radical. It feels like there's a parenthesis in the wrong spot or something, like,
I just,
this, if you
right,
multiply
so
that
that
together.
makes a, okay, I must have done negative 4,
Okay.
and then I got a positive
And then you.
980, so, yeah.
All right, because what I've circled right here would be negative 980, you're subtracting it, so it's plus 980. All right, so we have 2 answers here. That's the correct answer. What does the negative 1.85 seconds mean?
You're moving backwards in time.
Where will the object be at that time if you're moving backwards in time?
Not even at the cliff at all.
It won't,
In your hands.
Pardon?
it just won't.
Yeah.
Physically, no, but mathematically, what has been solved? What is, from the math, yes, Pavika?
Time if it went upward.
When, upwards? But
No, that doesn't make sense.
I was thinking you were on the right track there, but, all right.
Time before it leaves the cliff line?
Starting where?
So if the wall of the cliff is equal to 0, so the length of R, it would technically be before it leaves the cliff.
At what height?
At 0. No,
Well, depending on where you're setting your
at
coordinate.
50 meters.
Below the starting point.
Yes.
If you think about this as an axis here. What the math is solving is it's looking at the parabola. It's being shot up in the air like that, which means that this distance would be smaller than this distance. But that 5.52 seconds is how long it takes to get from here to here. The 1.85 seconds would be the time this here. So it's, if it were going backwards in time, looking at the whole parabola, it's where is it when it's 50 meters below the actual starting point. So this is why I expected 1 negative, 1 positive answer, and I expected the positive answer to have a greater magnitude than the negative answer. All right, but we haven't solved the problem yet.
Is it possible if you have 2 positive roots? I mean,
Yes.
so how would we deal with that if that was the?
All right. It depends on what you're given. If I give you the initial velocity, if I give you the same information, just different numbers, then no, it is not possible to get 2 positive. I can give you other stuff where there's more than 1 correct answer, which would lead towards the most difficult of those problems. Don't worry, we'll get there. That was a look of sadness, I assume, because we're not doing the hardest problem.
No, it's the complete opposite.
All right, and now what? I want to find R.
Use the third equation.
Okay? If I plug into the third equation, acceleration is 0 horizontally, so that second term on the right side goes away, and I'm left with just the classic middle school distance equals rate times time kind of equation. R is 24 times 5.25, which is somewhere around 130.
132.48. per second.
Meters.
Oh, just meters?
It's a distance.
Oh, it's the,
Also, I multiplied meters per second times seconds. Questions?
what would the vector form be then? So you threw it at 30, so okay, so the height will be like 18 plus 50, and then we add 24 plus the bottom.
Wait, say that again?
So like,
Wait, you did, it's 24 plus 18 divided by 2 times 5.52,
No.
not for R?
Because, remember, this is I hat, this is J hat. If you wanna do initial final velocity, it sounded like you were trying to find an average
No, I'm
velocity.
just trying to find R the way you did it for that last.
The last one, I would do the final velocity, what's my final horizontal velocity? Without a calculator. What's my acceleration horizontally?
0.
What's my final velocity horizontally?
4 meters per second.
Acceleration of 0 means the velocity doesn't change. So this is 24, 24.
Right.
So if I use what I did last time, I think we used the second equation over there. So it'd be 24 plus 24 divided by 2,
Oh, okay, that makes
Times.
more sense.
5.52.
Okay.
If I wanted to know the final speed, I could find my final velocity here. That works. Or I could just use that fourth equation. If I'm trying to find the total final speed, I can use that fourth equation and just plug in what I know. Vf squared is equal to 30 squared plus 2 times negative 9.8 j hat dot negative 50 meters j hat plus 132.48 meters I hat. So I'm plugging in everything. So this ends up being 900 plus 2 times negative 9.8 times negative 50. Because I have no I hat component here, the dot product that I has to go away. And so that ends up being 900 plus 980. Yeah. So VF is the square root of 18. Which is something bigger than 24.
43.36
Meters per
meters per second.
All right. If I wanted to know my vertical component, oh, yes.
Why did you use the last equation? Can you not use the first one?
If I wanted to find,
I plugged it in the first one.
yeah, I could have done the first one.
Okay, but I got a different number.
Oh,
That's what I was asking.
what did you plug in for VI?
I did the vertical. I did J hat.
All right, so what, if you plugged in just the vertical stuff into that first equation, your VF would have been just the vertical component.
Right, that's what I was looking.
Okay, this is the final speed.
Oh.
This combines the horizontal and the vertical. So as it's coming in down here, the final speed is 43.36. The horizontal component is 24. This is, I can use Pythagorean theorem, and then that should match what you got, unless one of us made a mistake. Alan?
What's the symbol in between the two parentheses in the top equation?
Here or there?
In the middle of the parentheses. Well, between negative 9.8 j hat and negative 50 m j hat.
That's a dot. I'm doing a dot product.
Location of
You were wondering what that symbol was.
yes.
It's a dot, when I multiply, if you notice, there's a dot over here.
Yeah, okay, alright.
Two ways of multiplying vectors, dot products, cross products, we do a
Yes.
dot.
Alright.
Or,
So why did we go, I'm confused, why did we go from negative 50 meters J hat plus 132.48 meters I hat to just negative 50?
when you do dot products,
Yes.
you multiply like components. So I multiply the j components together, that's what this is,
Okay.
and then I multiply the I components. Well, there's an implied plus a zero I hat,
Right,
so
okay,
that's
thank you.
harder.
Okay, so I didn't match.
What did you get here?
When I do Pythagorean theorem, I get 49.56.
It's not gonna be bigger than this. It's, did you 43.36 squared minus 44 squared?
No.
Point is that. Okay, 36.11, it doesn't match exactly, cause mine was negative, but I'm sure that's just rounding, cause I got negative 36.096.
Okay, yeah,
Which is fine.
that's a rounding thing. This is positive because I'm indicating direction with the arrow here, but it's down, so if I went over there to write it in, I'd write the negative.
Right.
So either way. I feel like I missed what your, question you had. Or you just,
So.
there's nothing wrong with taking that first equation like you did.
Right.
Define the vertical component. No issues.
And then, then what would I do?
Define the finals. So you did it differently. You found the vertical component,
Right,
the horizontal component we figured out already.
right.
So then you would use Pythagorean theorem. So you had 36.097.
096, yeah.
And this was 24. You'd use Pythagorean theorem to find the magnitude here, and that would be the final speed.
So that'll be 43 point.
36, yeah.
Wait, so then, oh, right, I was thinking how you got that over there.
So in this case, we would have, like, that's the final speed, but it would be, if it were final velocity, it would be negative.
Yeah,